Well, good evening to all my viewers. This video is now in session. I'm your host, the Baccarat Coach, and this video has now started. Yes, I thought I would give y'all a different view than normal. This is behind a building of some kind of, patio, deck, bar, whatever you call it. Wish there was karaoke here, but there isn't. Anyway, just a different view I want to give y'all of behind a building while I give my speech. Anyway, tonight I want to discuss a little bit about, something I've learned over the last, I want to say 2 or 3 years. Don't think I've spoke about it very much, but I want to get into it a little bit tonight. So my previous video 4 days ago, it got cut a little short. Something malfunctioned with a computer, and y'all saw me pausing the video. I was going to reset it, bring it back, and finish my lecture, but it cut it off. I was talking about going to the well once too often. And I guess I want to wrap it up by saying the last thing I want to say about that is that as a Baccarat player, you have to mix up what you're doing, especially when you're in aggressive, sequences and aggressive, little stints of hands where you're trying to get one win in a short period of time. Using very aggressive martingale style, like what I was doing in previous videos. Wasn't exactly martingale, it was actually martingale, plus a lot more. But when you're going short distances and you're trying to get a win out of a sequence, you can't just bet the same order over and over again. You have to be creative. You have to mix it up. Be mixing it up nonstop. Not thinking that only one particular way is going to win all the time. In every scenario, in every situation. That was really the bottom line I was trying to get out to each and every one of you. And this video is going to kind of build on this concept a little bit with some technical examples that I was thinking about earlier today. Now, y'all have often heard me speaking about my 3-step program. You have heard me talk about over the years about catching streaks, whether it's in the game of roulette or in the game of Baccarat. But mostly I'm going to be a Baccarat player for the most part. So y'all hear me talk about catching streaks. And there's a reason for that. When I first discovered the game of roulette and then later discovering Baccarat, there was this channel out there. I've mentioned this on my 3-step program videos. There was this guy had a channel called Roulette Rookie. Of course, that was over 7 years ago. He's not a rookie anymore, wherever he is, whoever he is. But he was talking about the importance of catching streaks. Now, the way he was doing it was a little bit dangerous, and I don't play the way he does verbatim. But what I gathered from his videos was you don't want to be betting the wrong side constantly over and over and over again when, that particular side is not coming out, because you're making life harder and more difficult for yourself when you do that. And especially if you're using a martingale-based means of attack. Because when you're using martingale, depending on your bankroll to base bet ratio, you're giving yourself somewhere around 6 to 9 hands to get one win. And the averages will tell you most of the time you're going to get that win. But when you don't, it is damaging, it is catastrophic. The results are a living, breathing nightmare. And realistically, anybody who does this, if you've lost the 8th or the 9th hand in a row, you're out of the game. There's no hope for you at that point on that day, because you've got next to nothing in your available bankroll or balance left. You've got almost nothing at that point. Nothing at that point. So many channels have said it, and I'm saying it again. Just your standard martingale, very dangerous. But what I want to talk about is a little bit of the probabilities and the mathematics, and then give you, my take on that. So, okay, here's an example. Let's say, you're at the table, you're betting or whatever. I don't know how many units you're up or down. I have a basis example for that. But by definition, I consider a streak as one side, either player or banker, that's gone 2 or more. I say the streak begins at 2, because then you've got 2 of the same thing. So at minimum, a streak begins at 2. One player, that's not a streak, that's 1. It's not a long run trend or streak. It's not a long drawn out of anything. It's just a solo. But when you get 2 of either side, that is the basis and the foundation of when a streak can take off. That's when it starts. That's the base or the root of it, so to speak. So let's say you were trying to, catch a 2 pattern, because the odds probabilities say 2 doesn't go to 3. It only does a certain amount of the time. And so you bet against it. Let's just say 2 players. 2 players. Because player is the lower chance and the lower probability of a streak continuing. So we'll go with that. You got 2 players. So you bet the Beaker side. You bet Beaker, and a third player comes out. So then you're redoing the odds, the probabilities, the math. You're saying, you tell yourself, there is no way that player's going to go 4 in a row. It just can't happen. The odds are too low of it. It's just the statistics say, it's not going to go another one. So I'm going to bet, banker again. And then you lose that hand. Then you're like, There is absolutely no way this is going 5 in a row. It's not going 5 players in a row. So I'm betting banker again. There's no way this is going 5. It can't. You know, it defies the law of averages. It defies the true nature of the game. Then player comes up again. Oh me, but it really can't go 6 in a row. Well, why the hell not? It just went 5. It went 4 before it went 5. Then it went 3. Why can't it go 6? You know, are you insane? Are you psychotic? What do you mean it can't go 6 in a row? So with that example, hopefully you get a clear understanding of what I'm trying to say. And then, you know, God forbid you went, you know, after it went 6, you and then before you know it, you're betting against the streak. You're martingaling out of frustration, out of anger, out of bitterness. And you can't do this but 6 or 7 times and you're out of the game. So you get a player streak that goes anywhere from 9 to 15 hands in a row. You know, you're already out of the game. Your night's done. Maybe your month, maybe 2 months. You know, maybe you're homeless at this point. Maybe you're broke as hell. I don't know your situation. But you're definitely done for that night because you lost everything you either brought into the casino or you've lost everything that you've funded for your online account. You're done for now. You're on the bench. You're out of the game. Put it like that. So with all that in mind, okay, now I'm going to take this to another place. I'm not telling you that once or twice you cannot bet against a streak. The catastrophic part about it, the nightmarish part, the ugly side of this is when you just keep betting against it over and over and over again. You're being ignorant. You're being, you know, almost to a point of psychotic, where your pride and your ego is so in the way that you just keep doing it. And it's a dumber than hell thing to do. And you want to argue with me about this, then you know that's just what it is. You can argue about it all day. You're not changing my mind. Because I've been there, I've done that. I mean, I have lost probably somewhere around 30 or more bankrolls by betting against a streak. Lifetime. I mean, I've done it, so that gives me the education, the authority, and the privilege. And not only that, ultimately the entitlement for me to talk to you about this, because I've done it. I have done this multiple times. I've learned this the hard way. I have learned this the hard way. So you bet against a streak of something over and over, you know, it's going to catch up to you. And you're going to hate yourself, and you're going to be upset at the results you have to show. There's just no way around that. But there is this thing, I'm going to hit up on this, and then I'm going to get ready to get off here. I'm going to try to make this a 20 to 22 minute video, because we're already almost 15 minutes in. It's strange how time flies when I'm getting into a concept. But you're betting, okay, I want to say 2 years ago, there was this YouTube channel out, and one of these other YouTube accounts made a comment. They were talking something about sniping, like some concept of, okay, 2 players or 2 bankers, you snipe, meaning you bet against the side that's 2 in a row. I think they said you can bet it twice. You can bet it to not to break on the 3rd. Then if it goes 3, you bet it to break on 3 that the streak won't go to 4. And then I think that's really all you do. And then you wait for another pattern, and then you bet against it again because of the mathematics, because of the odds, the probabilities. I think some gentleman made a comment about that in somebody else's video, and that's where I remember reading about it. And, to that I say fair enough. 1 bet or 2, if you want to go against something, I don't suppose that's going to, destroy your life or cripple you or end your Baccarat career. I don't think it's going to do that. But it's just the non-stop pride, ego, and continuation of betting against one side over and over and over again. You have to give yourself rules. You have to create a standard for yourself that, okay, if I'm going to bet against something, fine, I'm going to give it a few chances. If it doesn't work out, then cool. I know my limits. I'm not chasing it any further. But sometimes it's easy to get lost. It's easy to get in your feelings. It's easy to just go overboard thinking, something doesn't bother you when it does. But that's why, I hear so much about discipline, but discipline is almost a soft way of saying something. This is more internal work. You have to practice. You have to make rules for yourself. You have to create a program and a standard for yourself on how you play. You got to have rules for yourself. That, okay, if this goes 4 in a row, if this goes 3 in a row, this is what I'm going to do. And then you do that. Every now and then you can have your gut feeling, you can have your intuition, and you can bet against something. Maybe, you're on the streak of 8 in a row, and you get this vision from the other side, or you get this, I don't know what to call it right now, this intuition, this gut level feeling, this idea that's very strong, and it tells you beyond any doubt that this streak is going to break and it's going to hit the other side. Then you can play it one time at reasonable stakes and just trying to get one win. You can do it one time. But don't make it a habit. Don't make it a way of life. Don't make it your gold standard. I mean, it is okay to casually, every so often, make an unorthodox bet that goes against a system, that goes against protocol, that goes against a basic formula. I mean, you can do it sometimes. But it's just about creating a winning habit and creating winning habits for yourself. Betting against a streak, betting against the choppy, betting against a reasonable 2 pattern, that is not a winning habit. That is a losing habit. We all understand nothing in this game is guaranteed. Waking up, getting out of bed, and breathing air tomorrow is not guaranteed. But the point I'm making, nothing's guaranteed. But the more you create winning habits for yourself and avoid the losing habits, increases the opportunities you're going to have to be a winner for the day. You can only play one day at a time, so I'm not even going to bring up winning every single day, because, and I may talk about that in a future video, we'll just have to see, but the only way to win every single day is to win one day at a time. The days that you play. One day at a time. One session at a time. And especially if you're the player that wants to take a day off every so often, or maybe you take 2 days off a week, you might take 1 or 2 days off of playing during your week. And that's cool. I advise doing it if that's what helps you and that keeps you in your rhythm. Of course, you can't win every single solitary day if you take days off, but, who cares as long as you're, a winning player and you're profitable, which that is something each and everyone has to work towards. But like I said, creating winning habits and avoiding the losing habits will give you more opportunities to be a winning player overall, but most importantly, a winning player for the day and the session you're playing. Okay, so to recap what I'm saying before I get off of here. To recap. Okay, a streak, by my definition, a streak of player or banker is 2 or more in a row. And that is the beginning. Does not promise or guarantee it will continue or create a dragon tail, but that's the beginning. That's the beginning at 2. But you can decide yourself if you want to wait till 3 or 4 that you want to jump on it. Because if you're not sniping, you're either betting against it because of the probabilities or the math. I mean, if you want to do it a couple of times, I don't see the harm in that. But I'm telling you, if at 4 in a row you don't decide to jump on it and go with it, you're putting yourself at risk for getting burned. You truly are. And that was the message I had for this video. So, if you don't think that following the streaks is important, then, I challenge you to look in the mirror and really ask yourself some very personal questions. I am not telling you that following the streak is guaranteed to make you rich. That's not what I'm saying. If it's done the right way, in theory, it could. It could make you rich, in theory, depending on how you play it and what your approach and your technique is. It technically could. But in a way, really it can't. Because in the economy, in society, You could have $1 or $2 million, but society, through the media, through economics, through the industries, business, you are not considered rich. Someone that has $2 million in the world of social media, in the world of the economy, in the world or economics, in the world of all the famous people, you are not considered to be rich. Yes, if you're a practical thinker, if you can manage your money, if you're a wise man or woman, you can live a beautiful life with a couple of $1 million. Yes, you could. But by the standard, you are not considered rich. So anybody who tells you that you can get rich playing the game of Baccarat, I think they're full of shit. That's my opinion. And the statement that I just made backs up what I'm saying. The statement I just made backs up my conclusion to that. Anyone on YouTube that tells you you can be rich by having $1 or $2 million is full of absolute shit. Well, all right, this video's about to stop and create a second video. We're almost at the 27-minute mark. So, all right, this is the Baccarat Coach, signing off. I'm out. I'm done. This video is over. Have a wonderful night, everybody. This video's over.